My name is Marlene Martin, and I'm with the Campaign to End the Death Penalty. I'm the national organizer. We're a national grassroots organization, and we have chapters in various cities around the country. We work with family members and prisoners themselves to educate and agitate around the issue of the death penalty. We worked around Mumia's case for many years. In December of 2009, there was a gathering of abolitionists from around the world. It was held in Geneva, Switzerland. Mumia was going to be calling in to address the conference. And it came to our attention that a group of United States abolitionists that attended this meeting did not want Mumia's voice included in this event. We found this quite shocking. 4 people of the United States delegation actually stood up and walked out of the meeting when Mumia spoke. They had previous to that sent a secret memo to organizers of the Congress to try to get Mumia's voice excluded from the event. And the reason these abolitionists stood up and walked out is because they believe it's so important to work with law enforcement to win abolition of the death penalty. They think that if they work around Mumia's case, it damages their chances of partnering with law enforcement. We found it shocking, and I reached out to Mumia to find out his reaction to the situation.
I thank the Campaign to End the Death Penalty for your wondrous support. When the letter was read to me, I felt an odd mix of rage and disbelief. It speaks volume of the movement and why it is so moribund. Once again, a white elite polices, pun intended, the movement, making sure it's not too radical and is acceptable to the system. That ain't a movement. It's a regression.
When you heard that a group of abolitionists walked out of a meeting to protest your speaking, what was your reaction?
Well, I didn't know these people, so it didn't make any sense to me. I remember thinking that it was somehow political, but again, it didn't make any sense. Had the Fraternal Order Police infiltrated the anti-death penalty movement? That's crazy.
Should abolitionists partner with law enforcement?
If you recall, in one of my earlier communications with you and the newsletter, I noted how the role of abolitionists was not to be taken lightly. They were revolutionaries fighting against one of the wealthiest and most powerful institutions in American society, slavery. You know the one group that abolitionists never bothered to recruit? Slave owners. They knew that this was a waste of time. The current movement that uses that name clearly hasn't used that lesson or learned it from history. We forget how Lincoln hated abolitionists with a passion and demeaned them in his speeches. Cops as abolitionists is just as nutty as the idea of slave owners turning against the source of their wealth and status.
One of the sentences in the memo reads, "The support of law enforcement officials is essential to achieving abolition in the United States."
Abolitionists should deeply study the history of their forebears and learn these lessons of history. That history is struggle, sometimes unpopular, always controversial, but socially transformative. They can't make deals with the devil and expect anything other than hell.
In order to win abolition, do we need to be more practical and less radical? Because that's the implication of the memo.
The abolitionist movement is, unfortunately, echoing history here. For after the Union triumphed in the Civil War, they put away their placards, silenced their songs, and declared victory. When they walked away, they allowed Reconstruction to be a half-hearted failure. Their departure from the field allowed politicians to betray millions of newly freed Africans to the tender mercies of the former Confederates, who launched a campaign of terror that lasted for a century. Frederick Douglass said, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." Well, there was no struggle. And guess what? There was no progress.
What do you think that abolitionists should be doing?
Let us become that which we revere and remember. Let us be abolitionists, strengthened by the positive contribution of our ancestors, black and white. Let us struggle to make progress. Let us build the movement by making it blacker, more Latino, and more working class. Let us understand that social movements change history.
Have you received any apologies from any one of the folks that walked out?
No apologies, unless, like the memo, they kept that a secret too. These commentaries are recorded by Noel Hanrahan of Prison Radio.